You're just moments away from a brand new episode of WTF Nations Radio's Pop Culture Warrior, hosted by the dynamic duo CQ and Radar. Pop Culture Warrior is your number one source for all things entertainment. If it's happening in TV, movies, video games, or comedy, they're all over it. And don't forget to say hi in the comments below. And while you're at it, let the boys know what you think and what you'd like to hear them talk about. Now strap in and get comfortable, because you're in for one hell of a ride. This is Pop Culture Warrior. Shots.
Broadcasting live from the basement of a Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Maybe I should take myself off mute. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome, one and all. Today is September 15th, 2020. This is episode 30 of Pop Culture Warrior, the show where I stay up to date on all the ins and outs of what's happening in pop culture, so you don't have to. I am CQ, as the little box said there before, and I'm typically joined by my wonderful co-host, the very talented Mr. Radar. He's what we call the voice of the unpop cultured. He will be joining us in a little bit. It's just me and you guys. It's just me and you. Thanks, you guys, for joining. If you're catching us, if you're watching, man, throw us a hey in the comments. Like, I want to see who's out there listening to us, talking to us, and we're gonna talk some fun stuff today. We got a lot of cool news, and in the second hour, we are gonna be joined by director, writer, producer, actor Erik Vaughan, who is going to talk about his new project. He's directed a docuseries called The Con. It is phenomenal. I've watched it. It is actually really good. I'm not one to, the political intrigue and the Wall Street, series stuff. It's not me, but it is a phenomenal watch, and we're going to talk all about that and kind of him and the business in our second hour. Without further ado, I see everybody. Hey, what's going on, man? Look at you guys lining up the checks. Hey, everybody. Spanky, Heath, Tim, Jenny, Pookie, Dino. What is up? Oh, no. Tim lost his top fan icon. Uh-oh. Somebody's not been active in the groups. I see you there in the chest there, too. Timothy Bridges. What's up, buddy? Thank you guys for checking us out. And I got some cool stuff to cover. So, without further ado, what do you say? Let's talk some gaming news. Love it. My sounds are good. And okay, so starting out, as you can see here, we And finally, they released the specs for both the Series X, which we knew about, and the Series S, which was just recently announced. I've had a lot of conversations with people where it's been, well, what's the difference between the $500 version and the $300 version? Excuse me. So obviously we knew that the $300 version, the $299, is a digital only. So there's not going to be a disc drive where you could put in, the DVD, the CD, whatever. But that doesn't account for a $200 difference. So here on the side, you can see the first column being the Xbox Series X, the top tier system, and then the one on the far right is the Series S, the $299 version. So the biggest differences, as I've seen, are the power, the GPU, the graphics processing unit of power, being 12.15 teraflops in the Series X and only 4 in the S. So you're talking, 3 times the graphical power for the Series X versus the S. They're both the same on the enhanced SoC. And let's see, with the CPU close. No, actually, no. The CPU, I'm sorry. The CPU was the same. It's the 8-core Zen CPU at 3.8 gigahertz. It was the GPU that was slightly different, right? Yeah, there it is. The Navi RDNA 2.0 GPU. The X is going to have the 52 RDNA, and that's at a higher, it's clocked at a higher processing than the Series S, so it's a little bit faster. The RAM, obviously, it's going to be way more powerful on the X side. And what else? Performance. That's kind of right. That's what you're paying for. How pretty it looks. So you're gonna get that 4K 60 frames a second with the X, which they're saying can even get up to that 8K at like almost 120 if they really push the system. Whereas the Series S, you're locking in at that 1440. You're getting the full HD, 60 frames a second, but it's definitely not going to be the 4K, 8K that they're pushing with the Series X. Pretty much all the rest is very similar. The storage is going to be double the size of the X, obviously double the size of the system. So technically, and double the size of memory. I think Radar is going to be joining us. Radar, are you there,
What?
buddy?
I am.
Hey, what's going on, bud?
What's up, man?
How you doing?
Good, I can hear you now.
Yeah, having a little technical difficulties. All good,
I
bud.
think I have a teenager difficulty.
Yes.
I really do. Because okay, I use my rig, this whole setup, for one thing, and that's Tuesday nights on this show. Right? I don't do anything else on it. I don't do my taxes on it. I don't look at porn on it. I don't do anything else but get down here on Tuesdays and do the show. And then I close it all up. And then I go upstairs. Right? Don't touch it. This is like my solace bunker. This is what I do down here. I don't do anything else. I don't whatever. Right? I came down here and like my headphones were in a different spot. And like I have like a handy little hanger for my headphones. They weren't there. My keyboard, so I type now. I don't know what the fuck happened here, but I have caps lock off, but it's still all caps. And I don't know and like Twitch was trying to turn on when I turned so I think I have a teenager problem.
It sounds like you got a bug, a teenager bug that you're gonna have to sort
I don't know
out.
what the fuck I need to do, but they need to leave my shit alone. Like because my kids are homeschooling, right? I think we've talked about this.
Sure.
And so all of them, every swinging dick upstairs has their own computer. I went and bought every single kid either a laptop or a desktop, whichever one they preferred, right? Every single one has their own shit. Don't touch mine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you want to be a YouTube star? Cool. Go about it. You have a camera on your laptop, do it. You got fucking my shit. Leave it alone.
So yeah, we've been talking the specs between the Series X and the Series S. And real quick, shout out to everybody. Hey, apparently my son's watching. Hi, Logan. How you doing, buddy? Yeah. So I wonder. So Pookie says, I wonder if it'll be stream compatible. Stream in what sense? I think stream's a very loose definition because stream in the sense of, can you stream stuff to it? Yes. Stream in the sense that you can do like Facebook gaming, since Mixer's no longer a thing. Can you stream straight to a service, maybe like Twitch or Facebook gaming? Probably. I think that's going to be a big selling point for a lot of people to get the new system. So yeah, if you guys got more questions, man, shoot them out in the comments, man. Appreciate you. But yeah, so we were just talking about this. Obviously, the X being more graphically powerful, processing power, the fidelity it's pushing at 4K, it's pushing towards 8K versus the HD of the S. The memory.
So the S is not pushing 4K.
No, it maxes out at 1440, 60 frames per second, which is beautiful. Honestly, at this point, I mean, I don't know how much clearer they can make the image where the eye can't tell the difference. But, at your usual HD, that's pretty damn good. But yeah, if you want the 4K/8K experience, you're gonna need the X come this time.
Well, I'm gonna say I don't know. How much better is that than the Xbox One? Do you think? Like, have they given stats?
So from the One to the Series X,
yeah.
or the One to the S?
The S, the cheap one.
The S would be, let's say, twice as powerful as the current top end Xbox Series X. Whereas the X, if you're jumping from the Xbox One X to the Xbox Series X, you're looking at it's like 4 times as powerful. And then pretty much everything's the same. Obviously, you're not gonna have a digital drive. You're gonna be digital only for the S versus the 4K Blu-ray that'll come with the Series X. And other than that, I mean, they're pretty close. Obviously, you're paying for a kind of a future-proof system. You're buying the Series X. This is your system for the next 4 or 5 years, barring any unforeseen red rings of death. Yeah, so
But that's what I mean. Okay, so for me as a consumer, this is just for radar here.
That's right.
If it's markedly better than what I have now, I will be willing to spend the money on it. If it's not markedly better, because this is me. I think I'm most people who I have the disposable income where I can just slap it down.
Sure.
$300, $500, $600 either way.
Right.
I'm not gonna do it every day, but I could do it, right?
Yeah. No, if you go from the X,
better, right?
No, if you're going from the Xbox One X and go to the Series X, I think you're making that big leap forward. Right. But if you go to the S at $299, there's a slight improvement, a slight speed graphical boost, but not much. And you'll end up, if you're an Xbox fan, you'll end up upgrading soon enough anyway. So it might be better to go to the X. The other thing I was going to say that they announced.
But if it's not better now, okay, if I'm buying something that's going to be better in 2 years, right? I'm dropping $600 now. It's what, $599 when they came out, right?
It's $499.
$499. Okay, yeah. So $500. Dropping $500 now. It's markedly better in 2 years. Okay. Between now and 2 years, how much dust is that going to suck in while my kids are playing Minecraft on it? How much dog hair is it going to suck in?
I mean, it's going to be better day one. For sure. Hands down, it's going to be better. The games might look almost the same, but one will be faster. One will load faster. They have the new technology of the game switching. So right now, if you play one game and you want to jump to another game, that one game has to shut down, the other game has to load up, and then you can play. Whereas with the new technology, you're literally, once you're playing one game, you can jump straight into where you left off in the other game. No loading. Just switch instantly. Yeah. So there's certain things you do get as part of that. Plus, better graphics, faster processing, yada, 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 yada.
Right.
Games designed.
How much of it's market? I mean,
yeah.
Okay, I'm to the point where it's going to be better. I know I'm not trying to argue that. But it kind of gets to a point where, okay, instead of loading for, 0.3 of a second, it loads for 2.3 tenths of a second. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
It's not like jumping from the 360 to the Xbox One. You know what I mean? Where that was a very marketable difference. That was
Right.
Wow, knock your socks off. Like I remember the first time I played with an HDMI cable, and it blew my mind how much better the graphics could be.
Yeah.
Like,
sure.
Now you're looking at. I'm not saying nitpicking. I'm not saying it's not better. Now I'm not saying you wouldn't notice the difference.
Yeah.
But it's not that giant leap. It's not that giant step from the PlayStation to the PlayStation 2.
Well, if you have all the stuff, like again, if you have a 4K TV and you have, you know, a 7.1 surround sound system, and then you put the Xbox Series X in there, or even an 8K TV, if you're one of those lucky few that can afford an 8K TV, you will see a markedly difference. Now, my biggest complaint with it is that there's no real games that are built only for the Series X right now. That's going to change in a year or two, where every game is built for the Series X. Right now, they're just kind of splitting the difference. It's just, yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
Well, and I get that. I'm not saying I wouldn't buy it. I don't have a 4K TV. I mean, my new one might be. I don't recall.
Get upgrade,
pretty sure my big one in the living room is a 4K TV. That's the only one we have in the house.
Right.
Sure about it. But so on that we would have a more, and that'd be the one the system was hooked up to.
Right.
Now, but what I'm saying, like $600, $500, a lot to spend for a little bit of improvement.
Yeah.
At this juncture, and it's the same when the Xbox One came out. There was no real games for the Xbox. Like they kind of released the technology before they have the software.
Yeah, it was the cart before the horse, so to speak. You know.
Yep. And I see they're kind of doing that with this, and I'm sure PlayStation is gonna. I mean, in 6 months, a year, it's almost gonna flip flop.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure the developers are already. You know, maybe this Call of Duty isn't going to be geared towards the new technology, but the next one will be, or the next Madden, the next whatever. So, you know, I'm sure you're gonna have some improvements, and it's probably gonna be a deal where if you buy the Call of Duty this year, you know, in a year or whatever, you can upgrade that one at any time to the new system. But God, it's just kind of like,
say hi to the folks at home too. They can see you now.
Oh, hi, folks at home.
Hi, folks.
Is my lighting better? We kind of did some work on that.
Yeah, no, it looks great, man. It looks great. Shipwreck just dropped. He said, man, so to make it worth it, I have to drop $3K on a TV, another $1K on a sound system to make it worthwhile to get the new Xbox. I guess I got to go start a GoFundMe page.
He's not wrong.
I mean, not wrong, but maybe hold off a little bit until you know, the holiday rush is over. Hey, Black Friday's coming, man. Black Friday, if we're even allowed to shop. I mean,
right.
You know.
Oh, do you think that something like the coronavirus is going to keep people from saving $20 on a fucking TV?
$20, try like 200, man.
I don't fucking know. I don't
bought stuff.
Sorry about it. I am not literally wrestling somebody for a fucking television.
Anyway, so pre-orders of the Xbox gonna start. They're gonna start the 22nd. We're days away from pre-ordering. I know somebody who's gonna pre-order one. Radar.
I probably will, and I kind of here's the reason why I probably will. Like I said, 500. I'm not saying $500 is nothing, but I can swing it. Yeah. 2, I kind of want to set it up and like not let the kids touch it.
Like, Daddy's toy.
Xbox One X.
Put it behind like glass and a lockbox and everything. Yeah. And then the Xbox officially releases November 10th everywhere that Xboxes are sold. So, in our other piece of gaming news, tomorrow we are supposedly getting the full announcement for the PS5. So,
I hope so.
Sony has announced that they're doing a big showcase. It's a live broadcast tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, and that they will showcase, quote, feature updates on the latest titles from worldwide studios and our world-class development partners. Now, they didn't specifically mention that they're going to talk about price and release date, but given that Xbox has put all their cards on the table, it would be kind of dumb for them not to, you know, especially with the pre-orders opening up like in a week. So this is their moment. I think they're gonna play it off and then drop it at the last possible second, right? They're gonna be like, okay, guys, that was our press conference. Hope you liked watching the games. Oh, wait a minute. By the way, and then drop the price and the release date and all that. And it's gonna be market value, same price as what Xbox is doing, and same about dates. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
I don't know. I'm still kind of. I know there's PlayStation fanboys out there. I at this moment in time, I mean, because the Xbox, especially the Series X, is going to be a way better system. I think. I really don't see it being like worse.
Yeah, possibly. Very possibly.
Well, and Timothy Morgan put a big thing on YouTube, mobile.
Yeah, mobile.
I mean, I wonder too, like I said, it's not the jump from Xbox 360 to Xbox One, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is this going? And the popular mobile games are becoming so popular. I wonder if that's going to play into that at all.
Possible. But okay, we got so much more to cover. I wanna make sure we're not missing a beat. So, for our next bit, we are gonna jump over to TV news. So let me do my swipe. Shoopity doop. Oh no, wasn't supposed to tease that just yet.
Tease what?
Nothing. Don't look.
I'm not looking.
You didn't see that. That comes later. First, before
I'm gonna say this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this. I can't see the show notes.
You can't see the show notes. Oh,
no,
okay.
I've looked at them twice. I've tried to click on it twice.
Good. Now you get
click on it twice.
You get to listen.
And I hit bloop, and I hit open. And I don't know, it must be corrupted or something because it's not letting me open it.
That's fine.
Whatever.
Well, you get to listening with the audience then. So we talked about this last week that The Mandalorian Season 2 officially launches October 30th. We've got the trailer. And I figured, what better audience to share it with? I have purposely not seen it today so that I can share it with you guys and I can watch along with you. So without further ado, I give you the trailer for The Mandalorian Season 2.
All right, then.
Show me the one whose safety deemed such destruction. You must reunite it with its own kind.
Where?
This you must determine. The songs of eons past tell of battles between Mandalore the Great and an order of sorcerers called Jedi.
You expect me to search the galaxy and deliver this creature to a race of enemy sorcerers?
This is the way.
You know this is no place for a child. Wherever I go, he goes. So I've heard. This is the way.
All right, ladies and folks, that was the first trailer for Season 2 of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, October 30th. That was dope. Loved it. Epic. Man, wow. First of all, have we ever seen a boat in the Star Wars universe? Like, ever? Has there ever been a boat?
I don't know, but I hope they play that song.
Yeah, that was dope. No, I think there was. It remind me of season one. If people that are out there, I think they were on a boat like at the end of the season, but that was like on lava or something. Like it wasn't like a boat on water. I don't know. I can't remember any boats, but we saw a lot. We saw a lot in there, man. Obviously, stormtroopers. We've seen TIE fighters. We've seen X-wings. We saw what looked like Ahsoka Tano, whatever her name is. It was a brief flash of her there. Something that looked like a wrestling ring was there. I don't know if it was at a UFC fight or a wrestling match. Yeah,
Either one is pretty badass.
yeah, right. Oh man, a glimpse of maybe he getting the rocket jetpack. That'd be dope. I like that. So yeah, that was pretty cool, man. That was pretty damn cool. Boats in the last Star Wars saga. Okay, cool, good. But yeah, so I'm on board. I am on board. Season 2 of The Mandalorian. Like I said, October 30th. So, damn, I'm hyped off of that. Like I kind of want to watch it again, but I'll geek out later. In private.
You can literally. That's like what this show is for, is it not?
Right. I know. Chad says I watched Mandalorian just for the theme song. It's good. I mean, they really hit the tone, like visually, audibly, like I can taste the Mandalorian. It hits all those senses just so nice. That looks really good. I see people. You
can taste it. You have
I
a way
can
better
taste it.
TV than I do.
I got that like 6-dimensional TV where I can taste and smell and all the feels. I can feel it. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, people like Pookie says he likes it. Yeah, everybody's in for it. Awesome. So, other news.
Who is anybody anti-Mandalorian though? Like,
You're right. I haven't heard anyone put it down.
even like the diehard fans of the canon of Star Wars.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any resistance.
Yeah.
To Mandalorian.
Speaking of the resistance now. No, yeah, you're right. You're right. I've heard next to no criticism between actors, writers, where it fits in the canon, the direction, the art, the visual concepts, like everybody kind of, it falls in line. And I think it's because part of it is because where it fits in the timeline, and it's the closest thing to the original movies that we have, right? Because it takes place just after the original trilogy.
Right.
And it's before, or it's definitely well after the the trilogy nobody wants to talk about, and then the newest trilogy, it's right in between there. And so yeah, I think it's I think season 2 is going to be better. I really do. I think they're going to, they saw what worked. They were playing with some stuff, and Spanky, don't lick your TV. No, don't do that. Spanky's licking the TV. Guys, this show is now coming to you in 6D, so you can lick your screen, and you'll taste the rainbow over here. Taste what CQ tastes like.
Taste the 6D rainbow. I don't know. Sounds like we do the
Oh God, I've lost my mind. Anyway, so okay, what else? In TV news, The Walking Dead. We've talked about it many times.
Is it still a thing?
It's still a thing, man. It's still a thing. But you nailed it on the head, because The Walking Dead proper, meaning the one that started it all, the Rick Grimes and Norman Reedus or Daryl Dixon, that show, The Walking Dead Prime, as it were, is officially ending after its 11th season.
Good.
They're calling it quits. Now,
good for that.
There's a lot in here, so hang on.
All right.
It will be a supersized season. So right now they're just wrapping up season 10. I think there's I think there's 4 or 6 episodes left of season 10. So season 11 will pick up next year, and they're going to do a 24 episode season 11. So honestly, I don't know why they don't just say look, it's 11 and 12 because they're about usually 12 episode seasons. So why not just say?
And then they do that shit where they stop in the middle and
Yeah.
fuck all that bullshit.
Yeah.
We're
So
taking a 3-month break in the middle of the season. Fuck you, Walking Dead. I used to be, and I say this, okay. I used to like sit down on Sunday nights and wait for The Walking Dead to come on. I would watch The Walking Dead over football. That's what The Walking Dead meant to me, and it started to suck balls, and I fucking quit watching it, and I'm ready for it to die. Sorry about it.
sorry about it. I'm making a Radar T-shirt that says like Radar. I'm sorry about it.
Sorry about it.
not sorry about it. There you go.
I'm not sorry about that.
Not sorry about it.
I was huge. I used to love The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And we would have like watch parties.
Absolutely.
We would have, like barbecues and shit.
Me and my wife from episode 1 until right around when we stopped watching, every day like watched it live. You know, we DVR everything, but that was like a show we would watch live because we were just so about it. Yeah.
And honestly, and this has nothing to do with this particular event, but when Carl died, it's like that was like pretty much the end of me watching it. It has nothing. I fucking hated Carl. That motherfucker should have been in the house.
Carl! Sorry.
I'm saying,
Not sorry about it.
What happens? I don't know. Like, I know what happened in the graphic novels.
Yeah.
No, Carl.
So,
but
and he says the Dune reboot looks awesome. Yeah, it does. I almost pulled that trailer too, but I didn't want it to be just me showing trailers and stuff.
Just talk about that instead of Walking Dead. Walking Dead fucking sucks.
Dude. But no, real quick. So the series is gonna end after season 11. Remember, there is Fear the Walking Dead that's still gonna be running. There is the new show that's coming called what was it? World Beyond. Walking Dead: A World Beyond. That's gonna take place like 10 years after like this series. So there's that kind of future series. But they already said it's only doing like 1 or 2 seasons, and that's it. And then they just announced that following season 11, not only will there be Fear the Walking Dead, not only will there be World Beyond Walking Dead, there's going to be what they're calling a, what was it called? Like an anthology series. And basically what it'll be is they're going to be telling small episode stories that take place across the entire timeline. So, like, there might be an episode of, like, you know, when Rick first woke up at the hospital, somebody's, like, across the street, and it's an episode about them. You know what I mean? And then they can time jump, you know, and then do an episode of somebody that lived where the governor was living in that community. And then they'll do another episode with Negan's people. So, like, they're just going to be jumping around, exploring. They're calling it, they say they're going to explore pockets of the Walking Dead universe, which have been left undiscovered. It's the Walking Dead anthology series. There's no name for it yet. And then on top of that, there is going to be another show that's going to be a continuation of the Prime timeline. It's a spin-off following only Daryl and Carol. So,
all right then.
You're going to have, if you guys are Walking Dead fans, you're going to have tons of it. So
Who's still a Walking Dead fan at this point?
They're making more. Somebody has to be watching. They're making more of them. They wouldn't.
No. There was always somebody who will beat a dead horse to get $1 out of it. Promise.
Look
at just last thing we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars. Okay, there has been some very, very, very good content that has come out of the Star Wars universe, and there has been some absolute dog shit.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Some absolute horse shit that they slapped the Star Wars fucking name on trying to make a fucking penny. And it sounds like, okay, some of this stuff, as somebody who has left the Walking Dead universe, okay, I've moved on. I have evolved past that. There are certain parts of the story which I feel like were left out, right? This kind of way this works sometimes. Not enough to actually watch it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If it was on like I don't know, say I'm watching a YouTube video and there's a little trailer for it, I may not fast forward through.
Right.
That's about it, dude.
I got you.
You know what I mean? Like, and I think The Walking Dead, I loved it, dude. I was a huge fan. Walking Dead, y'all fucked up, and maybe I'm sure there are people who still watch it. And you know what? And here's the other thing too. Okay, and I'm not even saying like one of the reasons I don't watch it. I don't have cable anymore. I haven't had cable in like 2 years. I quit watching it before that.
Yeah.
Look how many people have made the switch to basically, all my stuff is on, the different services.
It's funny. It's funny. I'm looking at the comments right now, and a lot of people always have the same, like if they were on board from day one or whatever, everybody kind of tuned it out somewhere between where Negan beats the hell out of Glenn and kills him, and like right, like you said, like right around Carl dies. I think that's only about a season and a half in between there. But it's always that spot that if they left the series, it's somewhere in there. And I wonder if it's like I can't imagine oh, that was so shocking and so brutal that they just or they like it felt so hopeless because that whole season was about just Negan dominating them, which is it's straight up from the books.
I'll say this. This is me. This is Radar.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been bloodier. I didn't give a shit about that. They could have actually paid him to beat the shit out of his fucking head. I wouldn't even care. Real brains, it could be real brains, fake brains. I don't care. Brains are brains.
Right.
Don't care. That had zero effect on me whatsoever.
Sure.
The story got very stale and predictable.
Mm. And
this is not just The Walking Dead. There's been a couple of other shows that have been that way where it's crap. Like,
yeah.
And then the timelines that they would put on that shit too. Like I said, the 6-month break in the middle. Well, this is the mid-season. Fuck you and your mid-season bullshit. Play the show. Okay, I understand. Like when they're like, well, we don't want to play during the Super Bowl. Look, I understand you don't want to go against Super Bowl for ratings. Get that part, 100%. Skip a week. You know what I mean? You don't skip 3 months, and then rinse, repeat. Absolutely, Pookie, 100%. And it's not just like I said. It's been a couple different shows that have done that, and I've walked away from them. Sorry about it.
It's hard. It's hard when you put out a good product, and every year you have to do better.
Right.
And then it's like at some point, every show that goes beyond, I think 6-7 seasons, you start to hit that wall where it's like, how much more can we push the envelope? How much more can we introduce before it's too bloated? Or, we keep doing the same thing and then it's too repetitive. And like, you stray too far from like you alienate the fans of the original because you've gone too far from it. And then the people that want you to go further, you're not going further enough. And it's like, you start to hit this wall of like, you're not going to please everybody. And in fact, you start just losing audience because you're not pleasing everybody. You're going to hold the people that like it and lose the people that don't.
Well, here's what I think they did. And this is The Walking Dead in general. Because they would spend, I like character development. I really do.
Sure.
I like to know the backstory of the characters and whatever. But they made it too predictable. And they kind of overlap some of those things too.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like the development of Daryl as a character, it was very similar lines to Carol and other people. You know what I mean? A lot of it was overlap. And you watch the characters develop in the show. They kind of started doing like the backtracking of all of it, and it all is like basically like from the way I felt was like if they started talking about a character, they're just gonna fucking die, which is whatever. I don't care kill the character.
Yeah, every time they spotlight somebody,
one of it was like, all right, who's gonna die this week?
Yeah.
And I didn't give a shit about that. I didn't really,
Every time a character got a kiss or like, hey man, you're doing a great job, it's like, well, he did.
I'll be honest with you though, I was kind of surprised about the Glenn dying in that. Like I knew what was supposed to happen in the comics.
Yeah.
But like when he was like went under the dumpster and shit, like he was magically saved because he went under a fucking dumpster or some shit, whatever. And I was like, but I saw that shit happening. I think we all talked about it. Like, but all my group of friends that watched it together, like he's under the dumpster, he's fine, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And then when he like miraculously lived through that, and then the whole Negan thing came, I was like, he's probably gonna live. He's been through some shit. They might actually save this guy and like kill somebody else.
Let him skate.
And that was kind of up in the air who they were actually gonna kill off. And then Glenn. But I mean, I don't know. There were some people in that I just think they got really.
Yeah.
I think when they changed, especially when like they killed off Carl, that really changed the arch of the show.
Yeah.
And
then Rick leaves, which you probably were already gone by then. But
about that, and I knew, it was whatever. That was after I quit watching it. I didn't really give a shit anymore. And like I said, it had nothing necessarily to do with Carl's death. I thought Carl was whatever. He was kind of a. Like I said, I read a lot of the comics or graphic novels, if you will, and so I knew he was a pretty pivotal character later on that he didn't get a chance to develop. But again, I was actually kind of excited for what they would do, but it was kind of like they're just gonna fucking do more dumb shit. Like,
yeah, I mean,
so
it's
actually,
true.
I wouldn't have been mad. Negan would have won. Like, I'd been like, fucking Negan wins. Like, all right, cool. Like, I'd been like, do something crazy like that, and that might have actually kept people in it because they, like I said, they were kind of half-assing it. They were like, well, do we follow the comics or do we do what we want to do? Like, and they were kind of doing the shittiest of both.
Well, I still say I mean, people, it has to be a highly rated show for them to get. Now they're like fourth spinoff. So it's
they're also canceling that shit where they go to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So is it? I don't know. I really still think good riddance. I really do. I don't think I'll watch the other ones. And it's not. And I liked it. I did.
Yeah.
But like I said, I've evolved. I've moved on.
Yeah.
If someday in the future it's on Netflix, I might check it out. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's gonna be streaming somewhere. But all right, we got more news. And got some. Getting a shot there. Marvel news. We're getting very close to a milestone in the MCU. Everybody remembers, right? The Defenders, right? The Luke Cage, the Daredevil, the Jessica Jones, and the Iron Fist that was on Netflix. They were the first two, which were Iron Fist and the first two to get canceled. Iron Fist and shoot. Luke Cage, Jesus, that's the one. Iron Fist and Luke Cage were the first two shows to get the axe, and that was October 12th, 2018. The contractual obligation was that Marvel could not use those characters for 2 years post cancellation. So in just 3-ish weeks, we're going to hit a point where, at least for Iron Fist and Luke Cage, Marvel is going to be allowed to reboot those characters and bring them into the fold, whether it be Disney Plus shows or into the movies or what have you. For those that don't remember, Iron Fist and Luke Cage got canceled October 12th, 2018. And it wasn't until November 29th that Daredevil was canceled. And finally, Punisher and Jessica Jones were canceled February 18th of 2019. So before the whole collective can be brought together would be basically February 18th of next year. Would be when all 5 characters, because they included the Punisher, all 5 characters would be eligible to kind of be rebooted. And rumor has it, actually, that Marvel wants to bring back Charlie Cox as Daredevil. That there have been conversations. And also John Bernthal's Punisher. They were very happy with his performance. And those two, more than the other 3, have had, apparently, behind scenes, have had talks with Marvel about bringing their characters back into the fold MCU-wise. And I had a conversation with somebody the other day where I said, it would be weird for them to reboot some characters and keep the core characters of others. But there's a way to do it. And I think that it makes sense in where the Marvel Universe is going. If you guys have saw the most recent Spider-Man, you saw at the end there was a fake out where Samuel Jackson's Nick Fury and Maria Hill weren't actually them. They were Skrulls. So there is a idea. There was this storyline in the comics called Secret War, where it turned out like a bunch of the heroes and villains had been secretly Skrulls for a while. And you found out Spider-Woman was a Skrull, and Namor was a Skrull. Like all these heroes that had been, they've been basically secret agents infiltrating the hero slash villain world. And so I'm like, well, there's a way where they could say that, Luke Cage was a Skrull or Jessica Jones was a Skrull, and now they're out of the picture, and now the real, quote unquote, real ones come in. I don't know. I'm spitballing here. I'm just saying it could be done. It's a little far fetched. It's a little over the top, but it could be done. Otherwise, you go the other route, which happens often in comics, that people hand off the mantle. Hank Pym was the first Ant-Man, and he handed off to Scott Lang, who became Ant-Man. Hawkeye was Hawkeye. I don't even remember. Clint Barton, and he handed it off to what's her name, Kate Bishop. And so like there's Iron Man eventually retired and handed it off to the kid that became, or is Riri Williams, who became Ironheart. So like there's always a history of heroes passing on the mantle. So there could always, I don't know how Jessica Jones and Luke Cage would hand it off, because what happened to them was science experiments. But in essence, they could hand off the title, to the next person to fill their spot. I don't know. Something like that. Thoughts? Stop me from just
No, you're
rambling.
You're good, dude. I'm just listening. I'm just fucking listening. What do you need me to say?
That I'm not crazy.
I had to mute because my chair is squeaky. Sorry about it.
Not sorry about it. I'm going to have a button that I push that's just you going, sorry about it. I love it. I love that. Mike Lesson says Iron Fist could have been so much better. Hopefully they recast and do a better job. I agree. And I used to really hate on the guy that they brought in to be Iron Fist. And then I started kind of reading into it, and like, he got the job, and and apparently they kept rewriting the scripts. And as far as the martial arts scenes, they gave him like 2 weeks to prepare for some of these martial arts scenes, which, the whole idea is he's the master of kung fu. He's the best fighter. And it looked really hokey. It looked really bad. But like, I kind of, you're going to bring a guy who doesn't know martial arts and then give him 2 weeks that while he's trying to memorize lines, trying to, do costumes and do all that. Like, how often was he really practicing and to look the part? I feel bad for him. He didn't, the deck was kind of stacked against him, and it didn't do well. Yeah, it didn't do well. One more story. All
right, keep going with your stories.
One more story in the TV realm, and that's the kind of the pick I had alluded to that I kind of jumped the gun on. And I'm gonna, before I show that, I'm gonna turn off your face for a second.
Good.
So that
my face.
I'm gonna turn off your face for a second if I can find it. There it is. There's your face. And I couldn't find it. Couldn't find your head. There we go. So for those, the bottom picture is a scene from Captain America Winter Soldier. That's when he fought Batroc the Leaper, who is a comic book villain that was played by George St. Pierre, the famous UFC fighter, and brought him. It was a very, very small role in the Winter Soldier. Well, the picture above, you might think, oh, that's a shot from him on that set. No. That picture was taken yesterday on the set of Falcon and Winter Soldier. So Batroc the Leaper is making his triumphant return to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, bringing back his character into the series that's finishing its filming right now. Also spotted on the set was Emily Van Camp, who was Sharon Carter in the MCU. So we're starting to see again the way this show is connecting to the Marvel universe at whole. We know, God bless him, I forgot his name, but the guy that played Baron Zemo, Zemo. He wasn't Baron Zemo. He was Zemo in the last Captain America movie. And so Civil War. I couldn't think of it. Civil War. And so, we're seeing how it all ties together, which is really, really, really cool. I'm very excited. I'm very, very, very excited. I think this show is going to be a hit. I think it's going to be phenomenal. He's the only one. Yeah. Oh man, you guys are. I'm loving the chats. You guys are absolutely killing it tonight. But yeah, so and the interesting thing is like, is he gonna play a villain? Is he not gonna play a villain? It seems like he would play a villain because at a very high level, like, oh well, he and Captain America fought, so he's a bad guy. But if you remember in the movie, it turns out that Nick Fury had actually hired him to take over that boat so that he could send Captain America in and they can steal the information that was there. It was a very convoluted plot. But the idea being that Nick Fury obviously was able to hire this guy. So is he secretly working for Fury? Is he freelance and he's just a pay for hire? And so his alliance is more, fluid. We don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they play that character. He's obviously a very classic villain from the comics, although as silly as a guy who just jumps a lot. That was like his whole thing. Barrock the Leaper. So yeah, I'm excited. Mike says hello. Hello, Mike. How are you, buddy? I see you there. Are you feeling ignored? Was that why the hello? Okay, Spanky. I wasn't gonna bring it up, but all right, let's touch on it. Ew, that now. Oh no, poor choice of words. Let's not touch on it. For those that aren't in the know,
me,
our favorite Captain America, Chris Evans, as they call him, recently took to Instagram to post some photos, and accidentally uploaded some risque photos of himself to the worldwide interwebs.
Whatever.
And
it's like Kardashian sex tape.
he
put some dick pics on.
He showcased America's dick. Is basically what and God bless him.
My wife didn't say anything about that this morning.
Yeah, my wife was frantically trying to find the pictures. I said I would not, out of respect for what Captain America means, I would not look at the American penis.
My wife would. I'm pretty sure about it.
But yeah, the funny thing is, in response to this accidental leak, which was obviously accidental, it's so cute what the internet kind of did. Like, he has such an upstanding reputation, and obviously this is not something he'd want out there. He had, like, this was obviously accidental, obviously, and so the internet in its adorability flooded the internet with pictures of Chris Evans to try to hide those pictures. Like, people were posting thousands of images of very, him with a puppy and him with the elderly and him with kids, and like trying to hide to cover up his modesty. And so it was adorable. It's kind of adorable that the internet reacted. Mike says he's leaving the stream so he can go Google that right now. There you go. You're welcome.
So you need two monitors. You can do it.
Yeah, dual monitors, man. Bro, come step your game up. Yeah, my whole backdrop is Chris Evans' penis. It's just the whole. It's my screenshot, my screen, my wallpaper.
Right, she's like, maybe she'll be in the mood tonight.
Yeah. So I feel bad for the guy. There was a good point made in that he does this accidentally, and the internet jumps to his defense and rallies around him. But when you hear, so and so starlet has her phone hacked and images revealed of her nude, and obviously all the thirsty fanboys out there are Googling the shit out of it as fast as possible, and then people are going to start shaming them like, wow, you shouldn't have took those pictures in the first place. And like, it's like, dude, like, those are her private photos that she took for whatever reason, it's her business, on her phone that got hacked and released, versus like Chris Evans, who literally put his dick out there and is obviously it was accidental. It wasn't on purpose, but The fact that he
that's not-
literally put it out there, and the internet jumped to his defense, whereas all these female celebrities. So I'm of the optimistic view that maybe we're learning to be better people, and so
We're not.
don't
We're
ruin this
not
for
learning to be
me.
better people.
Don't ruin
The
this for me.
internet is not learning to be nicer to people. That's not the way the internet works.
It's just the
What
double
makes the
standard.
internet is fucking savage, especially Twitter.
So you're
Somebody
saying
fucking-
it's a double standard then? It's because he's a dude.
No, it is a double, and I totally agree with that. And I okay. I don't really care to see celebrities nude anyway. If I'm honest.
They're
Don't.
people. They have the same pieces as everyone else. Probably less appealing.
I don't. But here's the deal, and I'm going to say this, and I'm being facetious slightly, because it is, he. What if it was like a Kardashian sex tape, where it's like, oh, I accidentally leaked a sex tape. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we need some more attention. Here's some deepfakes.
Does
you know what I
does
mean?
Chris Evans really need more attention though?
I don't know. Does he? Does he not?
Like this
I don't
dude
know.
could literally make billions of dollars to the day he died if he wanted to be Captain America, and he's like, no, I don't want to be Captain America more. He literally hung up the shield and said, like, look, I'm done. I'm out. I had a great time. Thank you guys. I'm on to other stuff now.
Now maybe his other stuff ain't working so much, and he's like, I need some attention.
It's
Where's my little
been
attention?"
5 minutes. Anyway,
What? I'm just saying.
the end of that story, I think it's really cool. He obviously avoided social media for like 2 days, obviously, with lots of people coming to his support and everything. But he just came on social media today, and I thought it was very funny for his first post to be. It said, "Now that I have your attention, go vote." So there you go. He spun a negative into a positive. He's like, you gotta lean into it, man. You fuck up like that, you gotta lean into it and make fun. His brother actually tweeted the day before and said, "Oh, I was off social media yesterday. Did I miss anything?" And like, giving it to his brother. I think that was pretty funny. So yeah, I mean, it's fun. You gotta have fun.
I'm gonna go back to this though, like the double standard thing. Don't hack phones looking for pictures.
Yeah, obvious. Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Well, yeah. Well, and I actually, we'll get into this a little bit. Like the paparazzi that follows you. Like I don't even know. I didn't even know if like there's some fucking like your Facebook stories or whatever. Like,
yeah.
Thing. And it's like somehow I got like some paparazzi website, fucking like the Daily Mail or something. I deleted them. I thought I did. But it's like, oh well, so and so is on this beach and you can see her hot bikini, and if you look closely, you can see her camel toe. I don't want to see fucking so and so's camel toe. Like you zoom in on it. I'm good. Sorry about it. Like leave. Like they just go to the fucking beach. Let them go to the beach. Let they are celebrities. Yes, we don't need to follow them 24/7. And I think we might be slightly better here in this country than we are in like England or Europe. Is kind of where it's about the paparazzi and celebrities and whatnot. But I don't know, they're pretty bad though too.
Yeah.
Here.
All right, guys.
Let them be.
Guys,
Yes.
I hate to cut you off, buddy. We're gonna. It's that time, man. It's that time. It's that time. The union mandated. I've been reprimanded before for not giving us our union mandated breaks on time. So we're gonna take a short break. We're gonna take a 10-minute break, and when we come back, we are gonna have a very cool guest. It is director of the new docuseries, The Con, Erik Vaughan, and it's gonna be I'm telling you, it's gonna be a really great interview and conversation. So yeah, we're gonna do that when we get back. We'll see y'all on the other side of the break. Shots.
You're listening to the sounds of WTF Nation Radio.
You got me staring out the windows, 8 hours late and you're a no-show. looking up and fading out. Cirrus shapes I found blow me away. Van Allen right around, pushing through. Skin is brown. Nature has us trapped in fear, so I get lost in sound. I wonder if you'll ever know why I am the way I am. I've been thinking a lot about time and space surrounding. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? I've been thinking a lot about life is never ending. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? Constellation theme, mapping stars that are meant to be. Geminis are free of suicidal kings. This misty maze of me, so obvious yet never seen. Feeling though the fog will lift to find me lost at sea. I've been thinking a lot about time and space surrounding. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? I've been thinking a lot about life is never ending. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? Myself and I am so lost, it's beautiful, far away from life. But I want your visible feeling to be mine. Oh, I just don't get it. When will your heart beat with my mind? Oh, I've been thinking a lot. I've been thinking a lot about time and space surrounding. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? I've been thinking a lot about life and it's never ending. Is there anyone who is thinking like me?
I stood there in that middle of church with a bottle of gin in my hand. I'm looking up at the rooftop like I'm trying to find my long lost friend. My days turn to nights, my nights turn to weeks when you're living life on the road. I'm halfway back to New Orleans with a few more drinks to go. I said, tip 'em on back. Well, let's tip 'em on back. I finally made it back to Bourbon Street, picking some of them old night bars, hoping I could find myself playing music on my guitar. For the kid around, they all shouted out as the drinks began to flow. I pulled out that old guitar, then I showed them how to do-si-do. I said, tip 'em on back. Well, let's tip 'em on back. I stood there with a bottle of gin in my hand. Looking up at the rooftop like I'm trying to find my long lost friend. Days turn to nights, but nights turn to weeks when you live a life on the road. Halfway back to New Orleans with a few more drinks to go. I said, tip 'em on back. Well, let's tip 'em on back.
Call the show now at 415-889-8367. The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, y'all. What's going on? I just remembered that I still have Radar's screen showing. Oh, it's one of those nights. One of those nights. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. This is Hour 2 of Pop Culture Warrior. I'm super, super excited. I really am. We got something really cool to go over and talk about and share. I'm not even going to do a big intro, but we have producer, writer, director Erik Vaughan. I mean, he's done a number of things. We're going to dive all into it. He's here today to talk about his series called his docuseries called The Con. It is a docuseries that examines the origin and impact of the 2008 financial crisis in the U.S. So please welcome to the show, Erik Vaughan. What's going on, bud?
Hey, well, not much. Just here with you. How's it going with you?
I'm very excited to have you, man. I'm gonna make sure that the lovely audience at home can see you, and we're gonna go from there. But oh, sorry about that. What the heck is going on? No, all my buttons aren't working today. That's okay. That's totally okay.
I'll block that music.
Yeah,
that's
man,
cool.
We're good. We're good now. We're absolutely good. I don't know why that did that, but that's okay. Yeah, here we go. All right. I'm excited, man. Can you tell? I've got like nerves because I'm excited. This is really cool. First, let me start off by saying, look, I did watch The Con. It's a phenomenal series. When we first started talking about having you on, and they said, do you want to take a look at the work? And I said, of course I do. And they sent me the screener. And I remember I opened it and I'm like, oh my God, it's 6 hours long. And I was like, oh no. I was like, I don't know if I could sit. Because here's the thing. I mean, you got to see the show a little bit. I'm a geek. I love superheroes. I love silly stuff. And this is very serious. It's a very serious topic. It is something that happened to our nation, almost crippled our nation. And like, I was like, man, this is kind of heavy for me. It's kind of heavy for me. Speaking from a guy who's seen military movies, like I love Black Hawk Down and things like that, but that is definitely not my cup of tea. I started watching it because I said, okay, I need to be able to at least say something about it, and I was hooked from the get-go. I like 10 minutes in, I was just drawn in the narrative, the storytelling to it. I minute after minute, hour after hour, I couldn't stop watching. I watched the whole thing straight through because it was so engrossing. And a lot of times, like I'm sure so many other people, you start hearing about all this financial stuff and subsidies and mortgage rate and all these different terminology, and it's heavy, it's confusing, it's just it's like it weighs on you. And this was like, you did a phenomenal job. I'm gonna stop congratulating you here in a second, but let me just wrap up with saying,
no, please bring it on.
He did such a phenomenal job making a very heavy topic, a very convoluted, complicated topic, make sense. And it was you could follow the dots, you could follow the lines and the narratives and where things got connected. It's very messy. For those that are gonna watch it, first of all, it's a very messy, complicated situation that you really were able to flesh out and narrate in a way that makes sense and you can follow it, and always calling back to kind of those subplots, right? Like Annie and all the pivotal moments, the workmen's, the pensions, and connecting that to the bigger pieces that are moving around. It was so masterfully done. And I really appreciated the animations because boy, oh boy, some of that stuff really complicated. And there were some animated bits where, you can see, follow the things and follow the money. And it really helped people like me who some of those heavy topics are hard to grasp and understand. But yeah, just first off, phenomenal job. Really, 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 really liked it. So I'm gonna take a breath and breathe now.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
so I probably should have started with this, but tell us a little bit about you. How did you kind of get started? Directing, writing, producing.
Oh, okay. So as far as like the whole enchilada is concerned, well, I could go all the way back to fourth grade, but I'll spare you those stories. But I'll just say that I went to college for it. I'm like one of those like rare birds that actually went to college for something and then went out and like did it. And you'd think that like, oh yeah, creative writing and film and television production, that is like the last guy that's going to be doing professionally what he studied in college, but I managed. I consider myself extraordinarily lucky in that regard. I started years and years and years ago, just doing freelance stuff. Then I eventually got into commercial production, worked in ad agencies, and then eventually onto television programming. And actually, that's sort of where I first got my toes, touching the waters of the subject matter of the con. One of the series that we did let's see, is right in the middle of it all, in the mid 2000s, was a series that my producing partner and the person that we follow, the protagonist in the con, Patrick Lovell, we had met and worked on a show called Home Team, which was a syndicated television program. It was like on Litton Entertainment, so it was like on different channels in whatever market it happened to be in. But it's like kind of your typical home makeover type show. The little twist that they had is that we would give away houses to deserving people, couples, whatever the case might be. Which it was awesome. I mean, it was great because everybody was always in this wonderful mood, and it's like we would invite like families and friends of the unsuspecting couple or whoever it was that we were giving the home to come and secretly renovate this home that's going to be like their very first home. And so it has like all these warm, feel good type of elements to it, and during production it was always like such a happy mood and everything like that. But what we didn't realize is that that entire program and the underwriter of the program was a subprime lender, who was basically using this to get the word out. And then basically every single person that we got into a home was then being placed into Lord knows what kind of loan. And so when Patrick and I had the realization, like years after, that show ended, it was just sort of like, whoa, okay.
Are you able to like
But it was
look
a
back at
major
those
state.
people and like see what they're doing or see if they're okay?
Well, actually, I have kept in contact with a couple of them. See, one of them, they actually didn't take the mortgage because what you would get is that you wouldn't get the house. You would get like a mortgage, and you get like the first year paid, and then plus all the renovations and then the furniture. But then you'd be stuck with the other 29 years of the mortgage.
Right.
And one of them, like this one couple in Chicago, the woman was a real estate agent, and I think she probably took a look at the page, just like, no, thank you, not for me. And I found that out later on. But then there's another couple in Oklahoma, really great, beautiful couple who took the home, and then they were able to refinance it into, I think they probably used like a community bank or something like that.
Okay.
And they ended up getting safer. But those are the two that I know. As far as like everybody else, I mean, I'm almost afraid.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, after watching 6 hours of the con, I'm terrified now. You did a great job. I'm terrified to go to a bank. Like I'm scared I'm gonna get conned out of God knows what. I mean, it really is good.
well, remember though, it isn't necessarily that banks are awful. It's individual bankers.
Right. Right.
And I think that if one of the many things that we wanted to have come out in the con was that, the financial system's a financial system. It's like fire, right? I mean, fire can either be the thing that makes everybody warm and cooks the food for the village, or it can be the thing that burns it down.
Mm-hmm.
And, we kind of have, it's up to us basically as a society, as a culture, as a body politic to decide how we're using this fire of the financial system. And, I guess that's ultimately why we made the con, right? To help just kind of get better information out there so that people can make better choices with their votes, with where they spend their money, with, looking at the paperwork for their own, financial situations. I mean, just
Right.
whatever the case might be.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's really, there's the depths. Like, I'm trying to formulate my thoughts here. There's so much information, so much, like, it dives so deep down to like specific emails and conversations. How do you, I know
Yeah.
this was a process that took you, it was like 6 years to kind of, piece it all together. How do you even start? Where do you even begin trying to unravel this mess?
Okay, so one, it starts with having an amazing team, and I'm on here with you, and of course I have my role as a writer, director, and producer, but Patrick Lovell, who I mentioned before, being other producer, host, he was like really the tenacious person who doggedly went after like all the different people that we interviewed, for instance. And our EP, Adam Bronfman, who was like, we kind of really are a three-legged stool. It's like this entire project would not have happened were it not for all three of us functioning at a very high level and having the other two to lean on. To be perfectly honest, it was a long and difficult process for sure. But yeah, I mean, I think that it is an awful lot of stuff to dig through. And what's more important is that when you start like pulling the threads of what was going on and one question leading to the next question, leading to the next question, you don't really have time to like go and categorize everything, right? It's like you're just like following the story as fast and as well as you possibly can. And we would just like go on these long, road trips. I mean, we crossed the country, I don't know how many times, finding interviews with, different, whether it was journalists or financial experts or politicians or homeowners or, people who had their pensions lost, all these different things. And it does become like this huge mountain of information. And that mountain of information was primarily, like I said, the function of Patrick going out there and just digging and digging and digging, and I'd be like sort of like behind, like, okay, grabbing, and then when it finally got to the point to where it's like, okay, we think that we have the story here. Now we have to organize. Now we have to figure that out. Then it was my editor, Joseph Siebert, and myself that just really kind of dug in, and then of course we got help from everybody else, from Patrick and Adam, and like I said, it was just without a Herculean group effort, there's no way to go through that much information. And probably the biggest thing that allowed us, there were a couple of things that probably allowed us to really finally understand the story that we had and figure out how to tell it. One of them was that we have a gentleman involved with the project named Bill Black, who really has an incredible understanding of financial crimes. I mean, he was like one of the main guys behind the successful prosecution of the S&L crisis back in the late 80s, early 90s. And, there are very few people in the world who know white collar crime as well as he does, and understands it and can help point us in the direction. So, with understanding him and having very fruitful conversations with him kind of allowed us to understand some of the things that we were finding. And then ultimately, when we found the story of Addie Polk, that was the other part that helped bring the narrative together.
Yeah. Sorry,
Because
I was gonna say
oh, go-
that's so interesting to me because as the viewer, like it really felt that was the heart, that was that kernel, that was the center that everything kind of revolved around and kept coming back to. So like I assumed as the viewer, like that's the story that got this whole thing, this whole ball rolling to find out what happened. But it's interesting that you're saying that came later in the process.
oh yeah. Well, I mean the incident that started this all was actually Patrick losing his
Mm-hmm.
home, and then basically him just getting out there and saying let's try to figure out what the heck is happening here, because what he was experiencing and what so many other homeowners that we knew personally were experiencing wasn't matching up to what was being told in the media or what was coming out in from the government or media,
Mm-hmm.
to be perfectly honest. And so, when you keep on watching things on the news and you keep on being told something, and politicians come out and they keep on saying that this is what's going on, and you're looking at your paperwork, you're on the phone with the loan servicer, and you're talking to, the 16th person from the bank out of 16 calls, who you have to, begin the whole conversation again, for the 16th time. And it's like, no, what they're saying isn't what's actually happening. And I'm not the only one. It's like if I talk to my neighbor over here who's also losing their home, who's also fighting to keep their home, they're also, what they're experiencing isn't what we're being told. And so it became a very simple idea. Well, let's get on the road. Let's talk to everybody who might know anything about this.
Yeah.
That we can identify, and let's try to figure this out. Let's see if we can figure out what the story is that actually matches the lived experiences of homeowners. And I think that ultimately that little switch in perspective is what's different about our project. And that, like, I'm a big fan of like Inside Job and Park Avenue and some of the other ones that that are out there. But every single one of them are sort of telling the story from like the top down.
Yeah.
From the Washington insiders and the Wall Street insiders, and those are important voices, don't get me wrong, but it seemed like the people who got run over by this were the ones who didn't really have a voice in these other executions, and that's who I wanted to tell this story about. I wanted to tell it from the perspective of the regular people, because I'm just a regular, person. And, 99.99% of the people out there are just regular people who this stuff is happening to them. They're not creating it. And so, ultimately, I just wanted to make something that I could understand, that I would be able to understand.
Absolutely.
I mean, you were talking earlier about how, it's like really how we did a good job of like breaking it down and making it simple and having the reason why it's like that is because that's the only way that I could make this, because otherwise I'd have no idea what's going on.
You're doing it for yourself and the viewer at the same time.
Right. It kind of reminds me of an anecdote about Johnny Cash, where I guess like one of his first albums came out, and and they were talking about his the guitar and how that rhythm, no, dun 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 dun, and they were like asking, so where do you get that sound, that like steady as a freight train sort of thing, not too fast, not too slow? And he just said, man, if we could play the guitar faster, we would.
That's
and that's
that's awesome.
And that's kind of like how I think that we made this. It's like we made this at a speed that we could do, that we could understand. And I think that, I don't know, I feel that that's kind of important, because if I can understand this, then I know that my neighbor can. And that's who I want to understand what happened.
Fantastic. Oh yeah. And I'm going to see if I got any of my staff here listening in. maybe we can put like a link to. I think the trailer is out there, right? Like you can find the trailer online.
Oh yeah.
Let's put a link to the trailer of the con, so that way people can find it after the show and check it out. If I was a better host, I would have clipped the trailer and probably played it before the interview. But sorry, we're making do here. We're making do.
No problem.
And so really, and we kind of touched on this, and I want to drive this point home. You tell the story of Addie Polk. For those that don't know, was this 97-year-old woman who all of a sudden starts getting inundated and harassed with these, your default on your loan, and you're going to be foreclosed on, and this poor woman has no idea what's happening, and is assuming, I think, that this must be a mistake. This is not me. I own my home outright. And when the police come, this is tragic. When the police come to remove her from her home, this 97-year-old woman kills herself. She takes a gun and kills herself because
she shoots herself 5 times, and she dies 6 months later.
Oh my God. That's even more tragic than I had it in my head. And that's, it seems like such a drastic reaction, but I can understand. You're 97 years old, and where are you gonna go? Well, you don't have nothing, and.
Well, I mean, something that I know. So this is going to take a deep turn, like really quickly here. So we've interviewed a great many, homeowners, people who are still fighting to keep their homes, or people who had fought and, had already lost their homes. And one of the real things that I think is really difficult, and one of the things that we highlight in the con is how many suicides did actually come from this. I mean, and it's a horrible, sub story, about this that few people really know about or talked much about. But obviously, because of Addie's story, it provided us an opportunity to highlight that to some degree. But I mean, when you're being so Addie Polk and her husband Robert Polk purchased their home like in 1970, I think 2 or 3, something like that, and it was paid for by 1985. And so they had their home completely paid for 10 years by the time Robert Polk passes. And not a year after Robert Polk passes, the loan brokers start coming in. I mean, one of the big stories about this is the fact that predation is a real thing, especially with the most vulnerable communities. And that vulnerability can be from any one of a number of things. It can be simply out of the fact that people are poor and lack resources. It can be, a combination of that and just like historically poor neighborhoods or minority neighborhoods or elderly neighborhoods. I mean, whatever the vulnerability is, there were people out there who were going to find the weak point and take advantage of it. There's a story that, there's so much, there's like 5.5 hours or something like that of footage, and there's so much that we had to cut out. And one of the things that we had to cut out that just didn't find a home in the final cut, but I'll tell you about it now, is we had these 2 wonderful experts, Catherine Engel and Patricia McCoy, who they were doing a study on this, and they figured out how a lot of these brokers were basically finding their prey. I mean, for lack of, targets, maybe not lack of a better term. I mean, that's to find their targets. Is that there would be like say that you have a city ordinance of some sort that's saying that you have to have your roof kept up to a certain standard. And if it's not, then they're going to start levying fees. Okay? It's not an uncommon thing. Now, what they were finding is that these loan brokers were going to basically like the registrar of deeds or, the city resources to go and find out which homes in the poorest, most vulnerable neighborhoods were in danger of being levied fees from the city for lack of upkeep. They would go and find them, then they would magically, it's like, so now let's it's unclear as to whether or not this is what happened with Addie, but let's just say that it did in this particular case. You're on a fixed income. You're 90 something years old, and you're not going to be making any more money, other than just the pensions that you the partial pension that you're drawing from your husband, and maybe Social Security, right? There's not a whole lot of cash flow going on there, and like maybe you do need a roof, right? And maybe you're starting to get letters from the city saying that that there's going to be a tax, something or whatever, that there's going to be a fee that's going to be coming up, and then as you're getting that, magically, a week later, this broker comes down and says, hey, it looks like you need a little work on your roof. We can offer you this loan at this really low interest rate, and blah, 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 blah. Go through the whole song and dance routine. And it seems like it's like, heaven has answered your prayer, right? And you go and you do this thing, and now you're able to pay this, now you're able to get the roof fixed or whatever the case might be. And then, then that's it. Then it's, you're trapped. That rate adjusts after a couple of years, and the only recourse that you have is to refi at a higher amount, sucking the equity right out of your home. I mean, this is equity. The entire financial crisis is a story of either equity stealing or equity destruction, wealth destruction in these people's homes. And you're trapped. And then as soon as the economy gets to a point to where it's like you have that month where guess what? Housing prices aren't continuing to go up. You can't refi. You're stuck in a massively expensive loan that person knew for a fact you would not be able to pay, but they got you into it because there's a whole string of people making money off of that loan, even though that money is never actually going to be paid. Is making sure that system stays in place. And, and so it's just these horrible stories of systematic predation of vulnerable communities that then spills over into less vulnerable communities, because it eventually got to a point to where like it affected all of us, right? I mean, if you weren't somebody who's directly benefiting from it, you were affected adversely. I mean, so it's...
Yeah. It's crazy. I remember clearly. I was even this was all happening. I was like, I should buy a house, and then this kind of all happened. I was like, I should not buy a house. I should definitely not buy a house right now. And so, just one last thing, out of curiosity for Addie Polk and the way you did the story. We had director Rod Lurie on recently, and he did the movie The Outpost that, did the last moments for a lot of these. It was soldiers that were in an ambush, and a lot of them died and were wounded. And I was curious, the impact on you as a writer, as a director, as a producer, to that you're telling the story of someone's kind of final moments. You're finding the truth. You're putting it out there. In his case, obviously, family members are going to see it, and loved ones, and parents, and siblings, and obviously for Addie, much older, but still, what is that kind of impact on you, knowing that you're trying to bring the story of somebody and really the tragic end of someone to life in what is essentially entertainment. I know this is more educational, but it is in the medium of entertainment.
So in one of the last episodes of the con, we see this empty lot where Addie's home used to be. And one of the things that's said, that Pastor Harrison says in that scene, is that, the lot is empty. It's been scraped. It's as if she wasn't even there. It's like they're trying to erase her. And it's about making sure that her story, and through that she is not erased. She deserves much more than that. this is a story that deserves to be told, and her story in particular, because it's so emblematic of what happens so many times over throughout this country, and just the horrible damage that created. I mean, within the story of the con, it's like not only do we talk about how people who were who were borrowing money, got hurt, but because of the predatory and criminally fraudulent practices that were being used, and then creating, the bonds on the other side that then were being stuffed down the gullet of pension funds, and how it's devastated pensioners, once again, through no fault of their own. I mean, if we can't get Addie's story right, and we can't put some sort of effort for getting justice for Addie, then I think all of us are in peril, because justice for Addie means justice for the American people. It means justice not only for the other borrowers, but it means justice for all the people who were hurt and who are about to go over the cliff now because of the damage that it did to their retirement. And then the financial system writ large. I mean, because of the predatory and fraudulent practices on the front end, we got caught in, ultimately there's like $1.5 quadrillion of notional, notional value of the derivatives market right now. I mean, just think about that for a moment. That is like the sum total of all the different bets based off of, at least in part, these completely fraudulent, predatory, expensive loans that nobody at any point ever thought were going to be properly repaid. And our entire financial system today is now based on that. I mean, the frailty of the economic system that we're in right now, I mean, is because of what happened in 2008. And that's one of the other things that needs to be understood. I mean, it's really easy to blame COVID for the economy, because certainly, the service economy was hurt terribly, and so on and so forth. Well, let's just talk about the service economy for a second. So many people were moved out of, like, say, making cars, making steel, to now the service economy, because those were the only jobs that were left over after the crash in 2008. It's like everybody's like, we have all these people employed. Well, yeah, you had somebody who was making, $70,000 a year, in a really good, job on a line somewhere, who's now making minimum wage, at
flipping burgers or something,
whatever the case might be. And so, okay, so there's that. But then, beyond that, just the fact that when all this money was paid to solidify the banks, we never dealt with the problem. And it's not like these assets just went away. I mean, we have in our web ecosystem for the con, we have a lot of these small, like 3 to 5 minute long documentaries called microdocs. And if anybody's out there and wants to really kind of dig into like some of the individual aspects that we tell in the con, especially like some of the more, esoteric, things about the financial system, I urge you to go and check some of those out. There's one called quantitative easing, which is, one of those gobbledygook, terms that nobody knows what the heck that means. But we have one that helps describe exactly how the Fed used quantitative easing to basically ease the pain of Wall Street, while at the same time, siphoning money that could be spent on any one of a number of things that could, benefit Americans, something like that. But I mean, it's been a year since our economy has actually been falling apart. It was already ready to break well before COVID was even something that anybody's really talking about. All the indicators that show this are about a year old at this point. It was last August. And, COVID kind of came around at a very, convenient time. And I'm not a COVID conspiracy person in any way, shape, or form, but it happened when it happened. And when it happened, the service economy, of course, collapsed just kind of conveniently, these things have absolutely nothing to do with the service economy also collapsed. And that was because of the cracks in the system that have never been addressed from 2000.
The underlying issues, and I remember in the series, they made mention, like, it's almost like not a question of if the bubble is coming, or if it's gonna, but when, right? Like it is coming. And so, watching that, and I know obviously this is stuff that's, who knows when you shot what, but watching it, I'm going like, oh my God, I'm thinking of like, wow, COVID came at a time when, we're still sensitive, we're still, fragile, following all this stuff. And yeah, that's a lot of big topics for such a silly show that I'm doing here, but it really, no, it really is great. Like I kept hearing these, sorry, we got a question in the chat. How do you recommend somebody buying a house when I'm barely getting any money? Like that, yeah. I think that's a question. I don't think that's a question for you, but you got anything for guys wanting to buy a house?
Get a real appraiser. Don't let them do an electronic appraisal. Get a real flesh and blood appraiser to do the appraisal. First and foremost, I mean, so much of the hiding of the of the predatory nature of a lot of the lending that's going on out there is being hidden by the opacity of a completely automated system. I mean, I don't want to get myself in trouble with any particular loan company or anything like that out there, but I cringe when I see these advertisements, where they're like showing, oh, push this button on your phone, get this, and then push this button, and guess what? You have a house. Yeah. Yay!
Oh, I've seen those. I've seen those.
I mean, no, the more actual real people are involved with the transaction, the better. If you can afford a lawyer to look at your to look at your loan documents before you sign them, do so.
Keep copies.
They'll be able to
right?
figure that stuff out. Keep copies of absolutely everything. I mean, these days, and I'm going to go a little bit out here on a limb because I mean, I need to once again say that I'm not an expert in these things. I'm just a filmmaker who's been steeped in this, but I'm not an expert in these things. So please listen to some of the experts that we have on the documentary and in our mind, because
advice,
they're the people who really
know. If you want advice, watch the series, get educated, and then you come to conclusions. I did want to there's just certain, and I wrote them down here because there were certain lines that I was just like, so part of me, I am the viewer that is learning from this, but then part of me is like, I love films, I love documentaries, I love all this stuff. So part of me is the observer of how things are shot and how things are kind of keyed in certain places. But there were certain quotes that just lit up a part of my brain. They got me really excited. But when you get a line like, this is the largest conspiracies of lies in the history of the world. I get that you're shooting this as a documentary and these are interviews, but when you hear something like that, do you go like, oh my God, that's gold? That's going to be on the poster. That's such a powerful statement. Do you have those moments where you hear those lines and you're like, oh, I'm using that?
My initial reaction, and this is more or less a statement on the nature of who I am, is to be terrified at that.
Okay.
Because it's like, okay, I mean, that sounds amazing. If I'm not able to back that up, I can't use that, and I won't. I mean, and so the fact, this is the terrifying thing. The terrifying thing is that it made the cut.
Yeah,
that's the terrifying thing, because
you could absolutely back it up,
because it's true, and it's not like it's over. That's, I can't reiterate enough how virtually nothing that caused 2008 has been alleviated in any kind of real way.
A lot of these guys just skated by scot-free, and if not it seemed to me that the moral was you get a better job when you like it was like everybody did this bad thing and then got better jobs and bigger bonuses and things like that. It was crazy.
Oh, right. I mean, exactly. I mean, ultimately, this is a story of corruption, right? I mean, and there's a term that comes up in the documentary called Gresham's dynamic. And when you have corruption that is not addressed, if you have okay, so let's take this to something that's a little bit more, understandable. Let's say you're in a classic, mob or mafia town. If the police aren't doing anything about the criminality, there's nothing preventing that criminality from expanding. And if anybody else is out there, who's in business, who's trying to, do their thing, if nobody's stopping the criminal behavior, you're only left with the choice of doing the criminal behavior yourself or basically leaving the business. And so if those are your two choices, then, some people who just can't get themselves to do that, they just leave the market.
Sure.
Right? They just, okay, close up shop. We gave it a shot, but, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Anybody else who's left in the market are the ones who are, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do anything to keep things going. And that's Gresham's dynamic. And when corruption is left unabated, that's what happens. When you have, like regulations, right, are often taken as like a bad word. I mean, it's like you say regulations and some people are, duh. I mean, but another word for regulations is laws.
Yeah.
Right? And so you have no problem with the idea of laws being on Main Street. It makes absolutely zero sense to not want to have laws on Wall Street when everything that happens there has such a profound effect on our entire nation. Absolutely. And our entire society. And, and it's not like there are plenty of stupid laws and there are plenty of stupid regulations, so yes, there should be some sort of effort to be, smarter about your regulations. But this drive to just blindly deregulate is basically the same thing as like, let's just get rid of laws.
Yeah, let's just live in the Wild West,
Right. And I don't think that makes sense to anybody. I mean, just intuitively, I think anybody would say that, yeah, that does not make sense. It's like, you have to have laws and you have to have people who are willing to enforce those laws.
Yeah.
2008 occurred because we basically created, through various political acts and acts from different administrations, a lawless realm where the lawmen and women were either shut down if they were trying to do the right thing, because one of the things that we do show is that there were plenty of people who were trying to make the right thing happen. But by and large, they're not the ones who ended up winning the day.
It blows my mind when, they're talking about the savings and loans and how that whole fiasco and how they, barely got through that and was able to stop it. And then switching gears into the mortgages and how all that's like unregulated and it's unsupervised. And it's just like, hearing these stories, it's just mind boggling. I mean, because, the dream of every American is to own a home and own your land and this and that. And to think that the companies that are doling out these, and obviously bigger, massive web of interconnected, but just thinking that the mortgage companies can just kind of do what they want and nobody's there to oversee everything. Like it's mind-boggling for that.
It is. And that's why it was so great to be able to highlight that small little task force in Ohio.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this task force basically, oh, look, crimes are being committed. Let's go investigate it. So what do? They go and investigate it. Oh, look, we have proof of these crimes. We can then prosecute it. So what did they do? They prosecuted it. And so then what happened after that? Oh, a bunch of people went to jail. I mean, that's a fairly simple process. And as we show in the con, basically what they were able to successfully prosecute was just a smaller version of what was happening, nationwide in a very huge way. And so, I mean, you talk about, heroes a lot, on this program, right?
Yeah,
I mean, there are heroes out there. I mean,
absolutely.
Mark Dan, Tom Murphy, Sheriff Barry, and the rest of that, they were heroes. They were actually out there, going completely out of their comfort zone. They didn't know anything about mortgage and financial crimes, but they rolled their sleeves up and they did something about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, ultimately, that's what you're looking for. Richard Bowen, that guy went against like the biggest of the bigs and the biggest bank in the entire world at the time.
Yeah.
Michael Winston. Everything. Countrywide was the 800-pound gorilla, at one point in the subprime mortgage game, and he stared them in the face and he didn't flinch.
Yeah.
That's heroic. That's the same thing that we love about our superheroes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And here's
standing up against injustice, regardless of, there's a great Captain America quote where it's like, when the world tells you to move, you say no, you move. Like, you stand your ground and like, I know what I'm doing is right, and stare it down. I mean, it's true. Absolutely incredible. We do have a question from one of our top fans. He says, for a documentary, what process do you use to start? So like a movie starts with the scripts or a book. Is there a formula, a process you use to follow, or I just heard the story and I followed it as far as I could and then piece it together in the end?
Well, documentaries are very different to make from narrative films. I've worked I've worked in both, and yeah, with narrative films, it's like, you have an idea, then you're able to start, directing, how the story goes, right from the get-go. But yes, with documentary, it is very different because the basic idea is that that there's a subject matter. I'd say it's more akin to lab work, to the scientific method, right? You're observing stuff that's happening out there in the real world, and you basically create initially an inference, and then eventually, if there's enough stuff that backs that inference up, you can then say, okay, here's our hypothesis, and we're going to go out and we're going to try to test this. And so by testing, it's basically going out on the road and observing people. It's interviewing people, gaining the information that you have, grabbing documents. Documents are huge, right? And so filming the documents, getting copies of all these documents, getting the interviews, collecting everything, and then that's sort of like the analogous to the observation part of a scientific system, right? And then eventually you look at all the information that you have and you try to figure out what the through lines are. It's like, how does this make sense to that? And then as you put it together, you eventually come up with a theory, and that theory becomes like the backbone to the story. And that's when you're then able to sit down and start writing. At least this is my flow.
Right.
Another filmmaker might have a completely different one.
Sure.
But yeah, but once you actually know what you're talking about, then I'll restate that this way. Once I actually know what I'm talking about, then that's when I feel free to actually write the story and write the piece. And then a lot of it also ends up being rewritten during the edit. Because the thing about documentaries is that you go in with a certain idea, but you have to be willing to follow the story where it goes and not try to bring the story to where you are, right? And so when you're following the story, it takes on a life of its own, because you might think that this is exactly what's going on. Okay, I've got it now. And then some interview happens or some piece of information comes out, and it's like, I do not have any idea what's going on anymore.
Just blows the whole thing up,
And that's one of the reasons why this took so long, because we would have like this very strong idea as to how this universe was working, and we'd say, okay, so now we're gonna, and then something would happen, and it'd be like, no, this isn't it. This is wrong. This is not what actually happened, and we'd have to blow it up. It was painstaking.
Yeah, it's a
painful
trial
process,
and error
but
almost, where you're trying to connect the dots, and It either this house you're building either collapses, the foundation's not strong enough, or you start stacking, those levels up. I can't imagine the level of effort that goes to. And I was gonna ask, like, I came back to these quotes that I kept hearing, like, what was one of them? That it's if I don't do it, over and over we heard this. If I don't do it, like, somebody else will. The next guy will. And it for me, I always try to be an optimist. I was a soldier. I've seen the worst of the worst of humanity, and for some reason I always battle back. I'm like, I'm an optimist, but like, hearing that, and I can't imagine how many times you, as the filmmaker and people doing these interviews and looking at the video, how many times you must have heard, like, well, I mean, if I don't do it, someone else is doing it, might as well line my pockets. Like, how does that affect you at the end of the day, just hearing this over and over?
At some point, it's just, you have to take it as an insight into human nature. It's like, we're now dealing with human universals, that when faced with some notion of survival, and it's like, there's actual survival, where it's like, you're out in the wilderness and a bear is attacking you. And then there's like, sort of this artificial sense of survival,
economic survival.
But it kind of triggers, but your body doesn't necessarily know the difference, right? Your brain doesn't necessarily know the difference, and it's going to react. And so, once again, I'm not like some psychologist or neurosurgeon or anything like that. So, this is my armchair, kind of notion of this. But I think, people get faced with that. I mean, it's like, oh my God, it's like, I have to hit my numbers, right? Because if I don't hit my numbers, not only is the next guy going to get it, but I'm going to be shown the door, and that person's going to take my slot. Rank and yank, was a real thing, especially in these kind of, predatory sales environments. I mean, if you weren't performing and you were like in that bottom 10%, you were fired. Every single month, they would re-rank everybody. And if you were not above, the cutoff line, you were just fired. Just, that was it. You're done. And so when you have that, and then on the front side, they keep on upping the ante, where it's like, okay, this office did, and, I'll just say a number. This office did, $10 million this month. Basically, we have to do $15 million this month. And if we don't, then I'm going to fire, 2/3 of you. Right. Okay. So that's the kind of perverse incentive, right, that people are given. So, but it triggers that survival instinct, where it's just like, oh my God, it's like, I need to do this in order to keep my job, in order to survive. And keep in mind that the people that they were recruiting to come into these jobs were not career professionals who just say, okay, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm going to go someplace and, I'm fine making $40,000 a year. It's like, I don't need to, make $60,000 a year and lose my soul. It's like, these are people who didn't know any better. They were never taught, what it is to be a professional loan broker or loan officer. They were people who had zero experience. In fact, they were sought out specifically because you had zero experience. If on your application you said, oh yeah, I've worked in you were never hired, right? And so you get these people who are usually young, incredibly, impressionable, where you can tell them what's right or wrong, even if you know exactly how wrong it is, and they're going to accept it, and you set them out into the world. And then you provide this pressure, this immense pressure to keep pushing out those loans. And then it's the same thing on the other side, right? On the Wall Street side, it's like, you have to keep on selling tranches of MBS. You have to keep on selling tranches of CDOs, and you're going to do that every single day, and until you can't do it anymore, because that's your job. Damn.
Oh, man. Whew, that's a lot. I don't know if this is a compliment or insult. I don't even know. But it reminded me of, like, watching the Joe Exotic, like the docuseries on Netflix, where it's just like every time you go, okay, it can't get any worse. And then it's like, boom, you get hit again. You're like, okay, it can't get anywhere. Boom, it gets deeper, and like it's almost like the not, again, not to sound conspiracy like, but it's like it goes higher and higher and higher, and you're just like, at what point does like I don't know. It was so amazing to watch this. Yeah, I can't imagine. Do you worry about like ramifications? Right, you're putting out this dirty laundry out there and revealing secrets. Do you worry about that?
Uh, Earlier on, I felt more worried about this, but one of the benefits of the current age is that I don't think I think people just figure, oh, you can get away with anything these days. So, so maybe just like the current day and age has caused me, to not feel that, that little bit of worry or angst, at all.
Yeah.
But I remember a few years ago, especially when certain, because one of the things we do in the documentary series is that we don't pull punches.
No.
I mean, we name names, and we provide documents that support the naming of those names and the whole thing. And these aren't lightweights.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
And there was a time where, yeah, I mean, there's a part of me where it's like, you know what, I have some friends in your former profession, and I said, okay, you know what, I do have some safe houses lined up. I feel
nice. You know people that can take you away and protect you. That's good. That's good to know. Yeah, we're running short on time, man. This has been a phenomenal conversation. Do you have, so now you're at the end of this, and I'm always curious as a filmmaker, as a writer, as a producer, director, like at what point can you break away from the last thing and start thinking about the next thing? Like, how does I couldn't imagine it, so I'm curious.
Well, I mean, my mind is always on the next thing, because we're not even done telling this
Sure.
story, right? I mean, so the con basically gets us up to, by and large, I mean, we do touch upon current day stuff, but by and large, it gets us up to the crash. We have all sorts of footage already in the can that basically would complete the cycle of this story and get us from there to right now, this very moment. And there's a whole new set of villains. There's a whole, new set of people that we've been getting the court, documents for, and that we've been, collecting all these things. Patrick's, for all I know, Patrick's right now like collecting, some sort of a court document that hasn't been seen or whatever, because that's the kind of guy that he is.
Hitting the streets.
And yeah, exactly. I mean, he's one of those guys, and thank God he's on our team, right?
So we got the exclusive. There's a sequel coming, is what I'm hearing, right? Like they're you're gonna be the Con 2,
well,
or something.
Well, something. It's in the realm of possibility, and that's what we've been angling for. But even still, there's a similar story that can be told about so many other sectors of modern life. I mean, whether we're talking energy, medical devices, pharmaceutical industry,
I'm sure is ripe with possibility. I mean, lots of things.
Oh, no, military is all above board.
That's what I've been saying for years.
Yeah, right.
No, that's awesome. Real quick, so where can people find the con? Where can they watch it? How can they watch it? All of that.
All right. Well, so the easiest place to go is thecon.tv. That's where like all the information concerning the documentary series itself, as well as like all of our supplementary material, can be found or accessed there. The first episode of the con is out in the world for free on both YouTube and Facebook, and so you can find it there. You can link to it through the website, and we are now currently on Gather as we kind of continue the second part of our virtual theatrical release, and I suppose I can't really say, but we are potentially having a really exciting partner coming on to help get the get the word out and and distribute the con as well. But until I can actually say anything, I'll hold that back. But definitely on Gather, and the first episode definitely on Facebook and YouTube, and anything you want to know about the con. We have a Facebook page, we have we have Instagram, we have Twitter, and of course the website, thecon.tv.
It's phenomenal. I hope it gets distributed widely out there. It is a phenomenal piece of filmmaking, both in the sense of learning and also just, again, I'm a big fan of like documentaries and how they're put together, and it's just so well done. I highly encourage people to check it out, look for it, and educate themselves, because what's the old saying? If we don't learn the lessons from the past, right, we're doomed to repeat the same mistakes. So let's try not to screw this up again.
We're on the third round of this particular mistake.
Yeah. We hopefully we're getting smarter. Hopefully, that's the idea, is that with technology and all this, we're supposedly getting smarter. So let's hope we move on to that. But thank you so much for coming on today and talking about it. Please let us know if you get more information and you want to put it out there. Let us know. I'll put it out in a future episode to let people find what you guys are doing. And you're always welcome back anytime to talk filmmaking, because I absolutely love it.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you so much. This has been great.
Awesome. All right, guys, we're going to go to a short break. You just hang on right there. We're going to go to a short break, and we'll be back with more show in a minute. Be right back.
You're listening to the sounds of WTF Nation Radio.
You got me staring out the window. 8 hours late and you're a no-show. looking up and fading out. Cirrus shapes I found blow me away. Van Allen right around, pushing through. Skin is brown. Nature has us trapped in fear, so I get lost in sound. I wonder if you'll ever know why I am the way I am. I've been thinking a lot about time and space surrounding. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? I've been thinking a lot about life is never ending. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? Constellation theme, mapping stars that are meant to be. Geminis are free of suicidal kings. This misty maze of me, so obvious yet never seen. Feeling though the fog will lift to find me lost at sea. I've been thinking a lot about time and space surrounding. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? I've been thinking a lot about life is never ending. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? Myself and I am so lost, it's beautiful, far away from life. But I want your visible feeling to be mine. Oh, I just don't get it. When will your heart beat with my mind? I've been thinking a lot. I've been thinking a lot about time and space surrounding. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? I've been thinking a lot about life and it's never ending. Is there anyone who is thinking like me?
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
What's up, y'all? We're back. And yeah, that was intense. I'm still reeling from it. Radar, how you doing, buddy?
Dude, I'm awesome. I did not know all of those were things. Any of that was things.
They're all things. They're all
I believe
crazy, crazy things. I'm not joking when I say I sat for 6 hours and watched this entire thing. It was mind-boggling. There's no, like I alluded, it's kind of like the Joe Exotic story where it kept getting crazier and crazier. And it just, yeah. I mean, if you really want to know what really happened in 2008 and not from, and we didn't really talk about it, but there's no lean to it, right? It was the left's fault. It was the right's fault. It was the bank's fault. It was the consumers. It's a very just factual, like, this happened. These people were involved. These decisions were made. These laws were repealed and all that. And these people made some bad decisions, and these people made some very fraudulent decisions, and where the money was going, and it just it's crazy, crazy. Yeah. So
Well, and there, I like when it's that. You know what I mean? When it's nobody. I'm not saying it's no one's fault, right?
oh,
But
it's people's fault, but yeah.
everything it's refreshing when something isn't just like, I don't know. It was Obama's fault,
Yeah.
or it was Bush's. No, it wasn't. It was
Yeah,
everybody's fault.
there's not a
lots of
there's not a narrative lean to it. It's just like these are the actions, and they'll show like here's the documentation, here are the emails, here's the everything, everything. It's so well done. Erik Vaughan was awesome. How awesome was that interview? I mean,
It was fucking amazing.
the guy, you know, he legit knows his stuff, and it was honest. He's like, Ray, I'm not an expert, but I'm a filmmaker. We did our due diligence. We got the interviews. We got all that stuff out there. You know, it just, man, I highly recommend it. If nothing else, like the first episode's out there for free. Go find it, watch it. We put the link in the chats. You know,
Right.
watch it. And you know, the first episode. Let me say this: is that it is self-contained in the sense that, like, if you watch it from start to finish, the first episode, there is a completeness to it. It's an hour long, and there's a completeness to it. But man, hours like 2 through 6 go deep, go super deep. And man, it's just so deep, so deep. That's what she said. And no, you know, it just, yeah, it was wild. I was being honest when I said they sent me the link to watch the thing, and I was like, as soon as I pulled it up, I'm like, 6 hours. Good God, I'm not watching this whole thing, and there's no way. Like, I'll skip to some scenes and try to, you know, get the gist of it, because it's obviously not also my thing, right? I'm not the guy that's watching MSNBC and you know reading all these books on the political narrative, and but it's really engrossing. It's really just captures you, and man, whew. Anyway,
Well, and that speaks to me because I am, like I said, I'm a political science guy. That's like half of what I went to college for.
yeah,
So, but I kind of learned how to filter through the bullshit. But it's nice to see when somebody does research like that and actually presents it factually in a setting where it's open to interpretation. You know, it's not trying to blame
yeah,
you know, one group was holier than thou, and it
Yeah.
doesn't, you know, he makes it how it was, and I appreciate that. So when people
Yeah.
do that, it really makes me happy as a person.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's very, very much. I highly recommend it, and that's coming from a guy who doesn't like this stuff, but highly recommend it. Yeah, it's, I need like a CQ stamp of approval, like a boom, like a stamp
Ooh,
on
you
the
do need that.
on the,
CQ.
two 9 fingers up, you know, like, you know, I give it a perfect 9 on the CQ rate of awesomeness. So you know, that's gotta be a thing. Oh God, I'm delirious. Couple more stories for you. I'm gonna hit you with my best shot here. Let's see.
Yeah.
We talked movies. Or no, I'm sorry. We talked gaming. We talked TV. I'm gonna skip movies. We're gonna do movies next week. But I'm gonna jump to one of your.
You already got on. We were talking about movies earlier.
We talked about a little bit.
The leak.
Yeah, a little bit. But I'm gonna skip to one of your favorite topics. So hang on here. We're gonna go. We got sound effects back this week. WTF news of the week. One of your favorite topics. Carol fucking Baskin. So she did her first dance on Dancing with the Stars, and I must say, you, my friend, and I should have clipped the audio from last week's episode. You called it. So first, kudos to you. She danced to "Eye of the Tiger."
Yes.
Was her first dance of Dancing with the Stars. So golf clap for Mr. Radar. Just finger on the pulse of what's going on. So you can take a bow, and you're right on it, buddy.
Do you remember how we talked about earlier about Walking Dead being repetitive and you could like just figure it out?
Yes.
You
You know these things. Well, that wasn't the whole reason I brought her up.
All right.
This is her big moment. She's on Dancing with the Stars. She's doing her big moment. Wouldn't you know it? The family of her late husband, the one Don Lewis who disappeared, took out an ad, a commercial ad during the premiere of that show, basically asking for people's help to find out what happened, kind of alluding that she might have had something to do with it, and putting up $100,000 reward for any information, leading to information leading to, whatever. The spot even mentions Carol Baskin by name. So, I mean, wow. What a ballsy move from the family of Don Lewis to take out an ad during nationally televised Dancing with the Stars to basically try to throw her under the bus and try to put the spot.
You don't gotta throw that bitch under the bus. That bitch has already been under. She is the bus.
She lives under the bus.
Yeah, that bitch killed her husband. Sorry about it. $100,000. I'll go sit through some tiger shit looking for some fucking bones and shit. Yeah.
I'm getting you a shirt that says radar and quote.
Sorry about
it. That bitch killed her husband. Sorry about it.
I mean, I didn't do it. Like, don't blame me. I'm just pointing out the fucking.
Oh man. Do you know? And now I don't have the number for this. Can you imagine what taking a national ad, a commercial for a national ad in prime time TV slot, what that must cost?
I hate to guess.
Large chunk of money. Now, this isn't a Super Bowl ad by any means, where they're paying $400 million, but you're in the tens of, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars for a national ad space that's seen by the whole country, during primetime television.
But let's be honest, though, okay, because we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Lots of people are talking about it. You see, like the random Pepsi commercial or some shit like that. Oh, the Chevy truck commercial with this fucking folding tailgate. But I'm just people don't talk about the folding tailgate commercial, right? But they will talk about the Carol Baskin Dancing with the Stars commercial, and it will be on YouTube, and it will be held in high regard, right? Because of the quote unquote celebrity,
right,
of the people involved.
Yeah.
And the amount of people who know the story. Like, I don't know what kind of fucking proof they need. Just fucking talk to Joe Exotic about this shit. He knows. I don't know what's going on. I'm still fuck. Everyone knows.
Okay, so check this out. So first of all, Mike Larson, very funny. He says for a commercial for Dancing with the Stars should be about $50. So that's what he says. Which he also says, I'm gonna do that the next time Bill or Hillary are on TV. I'm gonna make a commercial about Epstein. We'll all kick in. So from our statisticians, our people behind the scenes, they've pulled the information that based on data provided by Adage, a 30-second spot broadcast nationally averages around $115,000, and this was in 2019. The average cost placement for a 30-second ad in the Super Bowl goes for like $5.25 million. So they paid 115-ish, maybe more, because that's about a year old information. 115,000, also mentioning 100,000 reward for any information.
But that's
a lot of money.
He was his family was pretty well off to begin with.
Well, but that's the thing. Remember, if you remember your Joe Exotic, which I'm sure you do, he left it all. Apparently, he left it all to her.
His part, though.
His
like,
part.
The family,
but remember, they were
his parents and all that were pretty. I mean, he was from money anyway.
Right, but the wife and the kids and all them weren't doing well. Remember, they're like, we tried to take them to court because we're living off of pennies and Like there was a whole thing. Like I'm sure his folks, is his folks even alive? But I'm sure he came from money and whatnot. But like I'm talking like his wife, his kids, and all them are like not destitute, but they're definitely not having cat sanctuary kind of money where they can raise all this. But yeah, I mean it's crazy. It's crazy.
I kind of want to see them all in jail. They're all fucking weird as shit, though. Too.
They're all crooks. They're all crooks and evil people in just different ways. They're all evil. They're all bad. Okay.
Although getting back to the gory thing, I kind of want to see a tiger eat a person. Just saying. I just want to see it. Like I don't know. Like I'm fucked up. Sorry about it.
Bob in the chat says, "Does our spinning paratrooper have a name yet?" No, he doesn't. No. I'm honestly considering. I'll tell you what. I'll make a sweeping declaration now. The month of October, I'm going to open it up for naming. I'll make a post about it. We'll put it on the page. I don't know. We'll put it on the main page, the radio page, whatever. But we're going to open it up for people to submit names for our little dude. And then the person that we select, not randomly, because I'm not calling him bag of dicks. The person that we select, that we love the name the most, that will be the name for the little dude. And we'll send you out a nice prize package as well. So
we'll call him sorry about it.
sorry about it. I'm gonna get them to put that on the back of the base. Just sorry about it.
Sorry about it.
As it spins around. It's PCW on one side and sorry about it on the other side. No, yeah. So that's what we'll do. Hey, thanks, Bob. You've just inspired some creativity. We're gonna take a note, Radar. Take a note. We're gonna run a competition to see who can come up with the best name for the little dude.
Yeah, I'm in, and then we'll make some little prize pack or something.
Yeah,
for the winner.
I got tons of crap. I got boxes of crap. I mean, not crap, but good stuff.
How about we give something good? Like crap prizes.
No, I mean I have a lot of stuff that's nice. See, you probably can't even see in the background, but there's right there. That is an omnibus book hardcover of, was it Terminator versus RoboCop in large, like the thing is massive. It's like huge. And I think street value is like $150 for something like that. Yeah, it's expensive. It's very expensive and still in the wrapper. Never even opened it. I like expensive things.
No, I mean that's not bad.
That's not bad. You know what? You go eat a dick, man. Like,
no,
are you coming up with better?
For a second, I was like, no, it's
okay.
It's cool, but it's too cool. I was thinking like, don't give something like that nice away. Give him like a fucking t-shirt.
Okay, make up your mind. I either give him crap or I don't give him the nice stuff.
Well,
I mean,
no,
we're
okay. I'm not saying we're gonna give him like literal crap. I'm just like give him like a CQ hat or something. Like maybe like like one of your actual like a game worn jersey is worth more like a normal jersey.
Oh, that's gross. Nobody wants my screen worn t-shirts. Ew. That's it. Even I think that's gross. Like, you guys let me know if you want like some sweaty, nasty, stinky things.
Wash it, dude. I'm pretty sure you have one.
I will put up a pair of used underwear for whatever it is you want to do with it. That put it on eBay. Maybe make some money. I got one more story for you. One more story for you before we call it a night. This is sad news, man. This is sad news. Are you prepared for this? I need you to be emotionally prepared for this. Are you ready?
Here. Yep.
There's more fallout from this whole COVID ruining everything. This year, there will be no peeps. No Halloween peeps, no Christmas peeps. You know what I'm talking about? The little marshmallowy.
Yeah, the fucking balls of sugary bullshit.
Yes, yes. Peeps are done for the year, probably until next holiday season, 2021. Just Born Quality Confections, which is the company that produces Peeps, says that its holiday-themed marshmallow treats will not be in Halloween candy baskets this year. They won't be in stores for Christmas either. Halloween Peeps, which are shaped like pumpkins and ghosts and monsters, and Christmas Peeps, which, all those will not return to stores until 2021. The company's also going to skip Valentine's Day Peeps next year as well. I didn't know this. The company's based out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Very familiar. I've spent some time in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and it's a Bethlehem-based company. In April, it temporarily suspended the production of its candy brands, all of its candy brands. The suspension was done to protect the health and safety of their employees during the pandemic. The company said it resumed limited production back in May after making changes to its plant to ensure employee safety. So chick-shaped Peeps are especially popular during Easter. Before the pandemic, about 5.5 million Peeps were produced every day, roughly 2 billion a year. The pause in production also applies to seasonal varieties of the company's hot tamales and Mike and Ike fruit candies. So, if you guys
do they make anything edible there?
They're the brand, they're the company that makes this. I wouldn't be surprised. They also make candy corn and peanut brittle.
Wads. Do they make those fucking poverty wads? Those little peanut butter poverty wads? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
These are fucking gross, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, with their chalky ass gross peanut butter and the fucking filling pulling taffy that's around the outside of it. No fucking thank you.
So yeah. So sorry guys if you are Peep fans. If you are. There's Peep fans. I know fans that
they're the people who they just sit around still watching The Walking Dead in their underwear eating Peeps.
Yes, that's that. Yeah.
I'm gonna say this out loud in real life. I did not know there was Halloween Peeps.
Really?
I
really
didn't know that.
Son of a gun. I mean, they as a candy connoisseur, I'm aware of many brands of candy, and yeah, there's seasonal varieties of Peeps.
God damn it! I was gonna buy one of the. I saw Well, first off, it kind of freaked me out. It was like the. They were like superhero candy bars.
Okay.
Right. But they were just Hershey's bars that had like superheroes on the wrapper. Didn't count. But they had like another one. I don't remember what it was. But they had like 2 or 3 different like weird ass candies, and I was like, that looks kind of good. Like chocolates, right?
Right.
I'm fat. Chocolate. I can do chocolate. But they were at the gas station, and Mr. Radar was like, oh, these look kind of good. She's like, don't fucking no, they look gross. Don't fucking touch them. I was like, I could eat them on the fucking radio. I could eat them like here, like rah, rah, rah.
Yeah,
like
yeah, you could.
But then I forgot to buy them on the way home from work today. So
that's funny. So we had a fan send me an article here that was talking about the commercial. It says that ABC welcomes all kinds of commercials on Dancing with the Stars. A 30-second spot in years past has gone for between 100 and 120,000. So so the broadcast network has little control over the local commercials that dozens of affiliates sell to smaller advertisers in their home regions, even though the purpose of the commercial would clearly cast aspirations on Baskin's appearance. No trouble bucking the 2 affiliates. Nobody gave us any issue. So it says here, getting a message about Carol Baskin on local ABC station was easy to do. It was 6,000 for Tampa and 500 for Jacksonville. So I guess they paid regional prices to get her in certain markets, to get the message in certain markets. So that's interesting.
That is neat.
Very interesting to know. 6,000 in Tampa and 500 in Jacksonville. What a difference in prices. I mean, they're both Florida, but you know.
How do they go by like how many people they reach?
I mean, they must.
Maybe.
They must.
Like if this station reaches X amount of people, then it's so much money.
Which is funny because I almost said something stupid. Because isn't no. The capital of Florida is not Fort Lauderdale.
No.
Tallahassee. Jesus Christ.
There you go.
I'm all over the place. So neither Jacksonville or Tampa are the capital.
Did you go to school like at all? Like
I was too busy reading comic books. I was the kid that had the science book open and there's a comic book inside. And I'm just like, ooh. Like, yeah, he really likes science. Yeah, so But anyway, that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of another wonderful episode of Pop Culture Warrior. I've been your host, CQ, the man in the box. To my left is the phenomenal Mr. Radar. Mr. Radar, I give you the con, sir. How about you tell us all about what we've got coming up?
What's coming up? Well, tonight you've been listening to Pop Culture Warrior with our special guest. That was so amazing. Dude, I was so fucking... Thank you, Erik Vaughan, for coming on. That was awesome. Tonight, you've been listening to us and Erik Vaughan. And then tomorrow night, we have a Dawn's a Day. Day of no scheduled activities. Nothing. Day off. Thursday night, you got Sergeant's Time. Ice, Spanky, Sergeant stuff. There'll be Sergeanting with all of the Sergeanting stuff. We'll be talking about all things National Guard, active Army, reserve, retiree, all the fucking bullshit that the Army still needs to do. Friday night, kicking it with Cause. Or Friday Night Freedom. Is it Friday Night Freedom? Is kicking it with Cause? I don't know. Cause.
Friday Night Freedom. With Cause.
With Cause. And is... I don't know. Did they lock down who's going to be his co-host?
I've heard rumblings. I don't know if it's official or not.
I don't know if anything's set in stone yet. Cookie, what's up? Then Saturday night, nothing. Sunday night, nothing. Monday night, the Monday edition, aptly named, because it's on Mondays. Ice, Flash, politics. Election 2020 is coming up, people. We have a little over a month and a half. Speaking of that, Joe Jorgensen is going to be in Rapid City on Sunday. I might have to go see her. Just got the email on that. She'll be talking about an hour if you're in Rapid City in South Dakota area. She's doing a bus tour. That's cool. I like how politicians do that. Well, I like how she does that because libertarians are broke. But I might go see that. But they're talking to some great candidates, local and whatever veteran candidates, and it's super cool. I'm glad they're getting the some vets voices out there. But you come to us on Tuesdays again for very little politics. Try to stay away from it. We have fun, comic books, and all of the pop culture needs will be met at Pop Culture Warrior on Tuesdays. That is all.
That's beautiful, man. I love listening to you give us the rundown. It's one of my favorite parts.
I would think that I would actually know all the things and not have to fight for words sometimes. I get retired when I speak.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I can say that word now. We're not on Mixer anymore because Mixer isn't a thing.
It's not. All right, everybody. Thank you for hanging in there with us. It was a phenomenal day, phenomenal show, great interview, and already looking forward to next week. We're going to continue bringing you guys awesome content, up to the minute news with what's happening in pop culture. Awesome guests. I mean, literally, I can't say anything, but we have some just great guests coming up. I'm super excited to talk to people. Yeah, and we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys next week. Till then, be good to each other. See you later, bud. Shots.
You